Pixel Overdose.
Hey, welcome to an episode of Pixel Overdose. I'm your host Jagan, and I'll be teaching you guys some of the industry's leading tools in the market today. Today we'll be learning how to use Adobe Photoshop. So this is Photoshop CS3. There are always new versions out per year. Make sure you check out the newest ones. But as for now, CS3 will do the job. I believe in learning by doing, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Photoshop is powerful by manipulating photos, and it can create graphics. It's a fair tool all around. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to import an image. I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to find my images. I'm going to use a photo that I recently took. Now, once you have an image file open, you can do the manipulation right on the raw image, or you can open a new, what we call canvas, a new project, and you can set your own dimensions. So I'm going to go with 1280 by 800 pixels. That's fine with me. And if it's for on-screen based stuff, make sure the resolution is set to 72 pixels per inch. If it's for print, you would want to change this number to 300 pixels per inch, but we'll go through that later. So for now, this is a good size for me. I'll press OK. And what you can do if you want this image in your new canvas is by selecting this move tool, click and drag. I'm going to close this raw image and focus on this. You can set this screen to fill your whole screen by pressing F and F. Now we can see a problem. Our image is too big for this canvas. So there's a couple things we can do. We can either shrink it down or move the image to where we want the comp to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink it down. To shrink, make sure this layer is selected. Go to Edit, Transform, Scale, or what I like to do is I like to use free transform, which is Control T. Holding the spacebar will allow you to pan instead of move. These hotkeys will become your friends, so I suggest you guys practice it. So we're going to go to the corners and make sure the mouse cursor changes to this symbol. Now when you scale down, it scales down not uniformly. So if you want to keep the proportions, make sure you hold down Shift while you're scaling. And if you want it to scale from the center, hold Shift and hold Alt at the same time. So right now I'm just going to scale this image to somewhat fit my canvas. And when you are done, you can either press Enter, choose another tool, and it will prompt you to apply the transformation, or you can just double click on the image, which is what I like to do. Okay, now that we have this image in this this format, what we can do is we can start manipulating it. So I'll go through some of the basic tools. for this particular project. And as time goes on, other projects, I will start using other tools and I'll explain them from there. If you press Control plus and minus on your keyboard, it zooms in and zooms out. Fairly simple of what does what. Or you can use this magnifying tool. But in my opinion, I like using the hotkeys. You can use this, we're going to be using this pen tool. This is a tool that you must master. Throughout most of the programs that we'll be using, there will be a pen tool like tool, and if you don't master it here, you'll have troubles somewhere else down the road. So to use the pen tool is really a selection tool, but a selection tool where you can control very well. As for example, let's cut out this car. A lot of people would probably use this lasso tool. This is a click and drag tool of which your mouse has to be stable to make a cutting line. If you don't have a stable hand, you're going to not like this very much, especially if you screw up. Once you let go of the mouse, it confirms your selection, and you cannot undo it to go back. So to undo your move, press Ctrl Z. But in this case, we won't be using this tool at all. So we'll be using the pen tool. So the pen tool, it's a click point-to-point tool where you can make arches and straight lines. This takes a bit of practice and some guessing, but eventually you will get it. So once you have clicked the second spot, if you click straight and let go of the mouse, it makes a straight line. But if you click and hold, you can manipulate the line with these arms. Now, using the pen tool, you will need to get very used to hotkeys, such as Shift, Control, and your Alt keys. Now, right now, if I wanted to make the next point, you will see that the line is odd around here. It does a sort of dip, and that's because this arm is predetermining what the next curve will be like, if you can see that. So if I wanted to get rid of it altogether, I would just hold Alt and click the center. Now my next point will be as if it was reset. Now I'm going to do this fairly quickly. To control any point after you make the decision, or any arm, hold Control until this white arrow comes out. This is a good way to go back and adjusting what you did before previously. But if you don't need to, then don't need to use it. Make sure the last point you drew is selected to continue on with your path. In the beginning, don't feel like you need to make such giant leaps like mine. From what I understand, most people start off with points close to each other because it makes them feel like they have more control. Over time, you will get the sense of how these arcs work, and you'll be able to know how far each point has to be for you to get an accurate shape. Now, in here, this hole we need to do but we can't do it yet. We need to complete this outer shape first, and we'll get back to that. So like I said, I'm just gonna save some time and just rush this, so forgive me if this is not that accurate. Just gonna guess that one there. This is a big long straight. Now you can pretty much just point to point on that one. Okay, once we have completed that shape, then your pen tool can start creating another shape. Now this is for the parts that are negative or knockout shapes, which is shapes within a shape, and this will become ignored. So there, that's all we have. Just double checking the image. Okay, now to make this selection usable, we need to go to our paths on the side here, and you'll see that you have a cutout of the object you've just traced. Now these things are called paths, so when I mention them in the future, please try to remember what they are. Now, how to make this path usable? As of now, it's not, but if you can hold Control on the thumbnail of this path, you will see that the mouse cursor is changed with the dotted square. Once that icon is available, click, and your image, or your path, sorry, will be lit up. Now, when it's in these kind of conditions, you can do many things. You can create a new layer. I'm just going to show you an example here. With the selection selected, you can fill in a color. For example, if you wanted to make some cool silhouette, you can, with the selection, you can cut things out of place, have them on their own layers. So what I can do is I can go Control C, which is the shortcut for copy, Control V, and it will create a new path. Sorry, it will create a new layer, and this is what you could do. Once you have it as a separate layer, what you can do is you can manipulate anything you would really like. And for example, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. I'm going to change the hue of the car. What this does is changes the color cycle of your current colors. And what I can do is, by doing that, the background image is not affected, only the foreground, or only what I've selected. Now there's a certain degree of believability. If I go this color, it's somewhat believable. If I go to like this color, it's not so believable. Mainly because, actually not quite believable. So that was today's episode, and I'm going to try to keep all future episodes under 10 minutes or around 10 minutes. If you guys have any suggestions of what you guys would like to see, please leave them in the comments, and hope you got your daily dose. I'll see you guys next time.